Alright, hi, I am Cody Davis, and today what I'm going to talk about is my audio mixes. And now these are the mixes I make, and they're not serious, they're just totally funny, and we're going to talk about this later on in the speech. Now first of all, let me define to you what a mix is. Any track consisting of sounds, songs, narrations, and any editing effects on them. Like all on one track, kind of like a random stuff. So that's what I consider to be a mix. And the purpose of this speech is to inform you guys a little more about me, to get to know me better. Now about a week ago I did a video about talking about people in songs. Well, some of that stuff on this speech is contrary to what I was talking about on that speech, and that's one reason why I'm making the speech. The only difference is the one that I posted about making songs about people are mainly for the public that I was talking about. But this time, what we're going to talk about more is personal use. So keep that in mind. Because if you're talking about the public, you need to set more boundaries. But if you're just talking about personal use, and that opens a little more freedom there. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about these mixes. First of all, the most common place you'll hear these mixes is when I'm at the park. If you ever see a person swinging and has their boombox on their lap with a PSP attached to it, and you hear a bunch of like random stuff, you'll know it's me. You'll definitely know it's me. And the biggest thing is these are not on the internet anywhere. And there's several reasons why, and I'm going to go through each one of them. Number one is copyright. I don't have permission to redistribute anything that does not belong to me. However, I've been making these mixes for 5 years. I used to record anything that I saw, but I don't do that anymore because of copyright. And so what I do now is make stuff. I put stuff on there that I've already purchased. So that's respecting the copyright. But however, I edit them as far as speed up the song, like those old tape recorders, play it backwards at certain spots, and just to be random. And another thing is, another reason, I don't have any permission to be using the names that I use on there. And most of the time, what I talk about is the people that I talk about is famous people most of the time, and it's always something good. It's nothing really bad. However, sometimes I tend to live on the edge a little bit because these mixes are tended to be funny, and lots of times there's made up stories. Most everything you hear on the mixes these days aren't something that are actually a true event. For example, I usually tend to go to the extreme or the exaggeration. For example, a 70 square mile toaster moving back and forth. Well, first of all, number one, there's no such thing as a 70 square mile toaster. Well, if there was, I'd like to know where it's at. And a couple of my songs are that way too, like Cops Are Checking on My Head, The Night of the Casino, Some Kind of Knife, Kitten Deck Knife. Well, there's no such thing as a kitten deck knife. So right then and there I'm just playing around, just being creative. And a lot of the stuff that are on the audio mixes, as far as the made up stories, a lot of them have to deal with history. And I was never a history fan, but it's kind of funny, talking about somebody that was born in 1982 and going clear back in 1488, an event that happened to him. So, to me, I think that's really funny. But what I'm going to talk about a little bit later is not everything that I think is funny. Anything that I think is funny may not be what someone else thinks is funny, and that's actually true for anybody. But the biggest thing is I keep these clean, they're not dirty. However, Probably today's audio mixes, probably the worst thing that was said probably was a band will be performing in Las Vegas jailhouse in 1920. First of all, 1920 is no longer out there anymore. Or not in the 20s, not in the 1920s anyway. So, and who would want to perform at the Las Vegas jailhouse? Well, any jailhouse, I should say. And another thing is, there's parts where I go to the extreme. Like, for example, like talking about people from World War II talking to really nice people. And I usually do that just because of, it's just kind of sarcastic, Like, for example, like a cat barks and a dog meows. I mean, you wouldn't expect that. I mean, that's just backwards, Or another example would be, the best place for lightning is under the tallest tree. Okay, if you believe me right now, you're crazy. No. I just do that because, just to, kind of be sarcastic and just to be funny, but the particular example, like, is about, as far as the World War II and the Nazi thing, well, that's kind of a more touchy thing because, there were lots of them that murdered people, and, like I said before, it's just for sarcasm, anyway. And I'm just playing around, and I don't mean to offend anyone, And another thing is, I like to impersonate people, but not in a way that's going to make fun of them, And you're probably thinking, how can you do that without making fun of them? Well, it's just, like, say something that they said that isn't bad. Or, like, if I have something bad to say about somebody, I wouldn't be using their name, And the mispronunciation of names is another thing. On purpose is another thing. And, like I said before, I don't, mean to make fun of them at all. Like, for example, like, my name's Cody Davis, but if somebody called me Cody Davis, that would be incorrect pronunciation. So that's just done on purpose. And like I want to talk about here is the purpose of these. The reason why I make these audio mixes is because just to make myself laugh. Because I need a good laugh every now and then. Because some people go to drugs to make them, like, get high or something like that. Well, you don't have to have drugs in order for someone to get high. You can make some stuff that's really clean, like audio mixes, like this speech is about, or you could just do whatever, but as long as no one else gets harmed, And another reason why I make these mixes is because just to get the famous people's attention, because there's certain people that I'd really like to meet, and it's just because I like them. It's not because I have anything against them. I'm just, playing around. And that's the biggest thing I want you to get out of this is, don't believe everything you hear on the mixes, on the audio mixes, in case if you should ever hear them. Okay? Well, this has been Cody Davis, and have a great rest of the day.